my favorite thing about the basics in this market is that absolutely nobody knows how to do it properly, but you will by the end of this video, because we're going to be covering the candlesticks and purely candlesticks to trade based off them in this particular video. I mean, there are amazing insights where you can see downtrends beginning from candles like this, where you can see drops continuing from candles like this, and where you can see upside continuing from candles like this. And you don't even need to be super correct about it, right? Like, even if you can see the next 1 or 2 candles from huge opportunities, that is definitely enough to make money. Because, for example, if you can tell that this candle means you're going to be seeing more upside, from the end of this candle up to the next highs we set, there's 8% of upside there. Slap on 10x leverage and you've damn near multiplied your money by 2. You're up 88%, which is just absolutely huge. There are so many opportunities here that you are going to be learning about in this YouTube video. If you're excited for them, do me a favor and smash those likes up. And while you're down there, Blowfin is the exchange to be trading these markets on if you are looking for a phenomenal no KYC platform. A lot of the ones these days that don't require your pictures of yourself or your ID are super shady. You don't want to put your money on there, but Blowfin, I think, is absolutely great as an alternative to Bybit, which is my favorite exchange in the game. And Blowfin is also offering you 15% cash back on all of the deposits you make, which means that up to 7.5K, which means that you get extra money that you can trade with an extra 15% based on what you deposit up to 7.5, which means that you can throw that money back into the market and any profits you generate are yours to keep, which is super, super cool. And while you're doing that, based on your trading volume, you're going to be getting Teslas, motorbikes, Apple Watches, lots of cool stuff going on. Check it out. It is free to use and very, very quick to get set up here. But I want to talk to you about the art of the candlestick here. And we're actually just going to kick this off by just making sure that we can recap what a candlestick is. This is not the candlestick we're going for. If we go ahead and take a look at this image right here of candlesticks, we can start to, and actually, do you know what? I'm just gonna draw this for you. You can start to kind of appreciate what this means. Now, I know this is gonna be super basic, so I'm gonna make this very, very quick. But you know, we do have a lot of important ground to cover here before we continue on. And we have up top and at the bottom something called wicks. This will represent the lowest price that the candle traded at and the highest price that the candle traded at. And let's say that this is a green candle. It's shaded in green a little bit. That means the candle opened over here and closed at the top, right? On the flip side, if it's an orange candle, that means it opened up top and it closed down here. And that alone is so much that we can actually use to tell us where the market would go. I mean, this could actually be a very, very long video if we wanted it to be, because this kind of thing gives us huge indications. I mean, one of my favorite kind of patterns that we get in these markets is going to be the standard kind of bullish engulfing, and you're going to see the power behind this, where like one of my favorite ways to trade is like not even being correct but still making money, because you know, you might be a really good analyst, but the chance of you being correct 100% of the time is 0. It's literally 0. And so, you know, it's very, very comforting to know that you don't even have to be right to make money. And you'll see why in this next example here, because one of my favorite examples is the bullish engulfing candle, which basically means that in one candle, for example, this one right here, you're actually eclipsing the previous weeks of trading. We're on the weekly time frame here, so this is absolutely huge because it's representing to us that in one particular week of trading, the last 3 weeks of trading have been completely overshadowed in one candle, and that is actually a representation of momentum. And again, from this candle close to the next high that Bitcoin set, again, we're looking at a 10% move, right? Like, this is not something that you can just kind of fade and push to the side. 10% is absolutely huge to make money off of. Again, with a bit of leverage, you know, this kind of thing can be very, very useful. And of course, by the way, while you are down in the description, make sure that you're abiding by your own country's local regulations and stuff like that, because some of these platforms are not allowed in various countries around the world. But it can give you a strong kind of sense of what might actually be coming next. And, you know, it goes beyond that. When you see kind of, you know, deep wicks that look something a little bit like this is showing you that within this particular weekly trading session, the price came all the way down here, but it closed so so much higher. I mean, from the price low until the price close, it was 13% higher, which is just such a strong indication that the market did come down here at some point during the week, but it was completely uninterested in these low price levels, and it came right back up. And that's how you're actually able to see that next candle coming. I mean, just with this one very, very simple, what's called bullish hammer here, you are very reasonably able to predict that the next candle is going to be huge, and that the next few weeks are going to print you that super easy to find 10% profit. So I think that's so powerful here. We see the same kind of bullish engulfing pattern really helping the market out with this particular candle, because right here we get a nice big move which in 1 week erases the previous 3 weeks of trending down, and that actually is directly what precedes another big series of moves up where Bitcoin just basically doubles right after this. I mean, from this candle close to the next major high, it's a 68% move, and to the all-time high, because this was the move that kicked off the all-time high, it's 180% up, which is absolutely crazy, all coming off that one engulfing candle there. We've got another very local example here which actually plays out very quickly, where in one candle here we eclipse the previous candle, which is still pretty good, and you can see that from this candle close to the high that Bitcoin sets again, you've got that beautiful 10% there, which really tells you a lot about where the market might go. And you can use this, on the flip side as well, right? When I mentioned to you that you get the bullish hammer over here, which basically implies that the candle has traded all the way down and then gets rejected from the downside and comes back up. That kind of tells you where you might go next. Well, we did the same thing over here. We traded all the way up here at $31,000, and then we closed significantly lower, and that kind of told us that we are potentially heading towards some more downside. So it's really important with these kind of hammers that you don't get like crazy wicks on the other side of the candle body like this one right here. These are not super reliable, although it did kind of work out in this particular situation. But it's very, very important that you make sure that you're actually using these properly. I mean, here's another great example where, we tested the upside. We really weren't having any of it. We closed so much lower. And this was, a pretty fair bearish hammer. You can call them shooting stars as well. There's a couple different names for them. But this was a pretty reasonable one. And again, from this candle close to the next low, the range is pretty tight. We get a 3% move. But as far as this range goes, it's not a super big range. I mean, if we kind of measure it from candle opens and closes, it's only a 5% range. So, moving by 3% is a pretty big deal. But that does definitely give us some indication of what might be happening next. We obviously also form these engulfing candles on the downside. I mean, here's a beautiful example of a bearish engulfing candle. In this case, eclipsing the previous 1, 2, 3 weeks of trading over here. And then, of course, pointing to some more downside from this particular candle close until the low. That was a 27% drop, and just for the next week, again, that was a 9% drop. So you're really starting to see, even just with 3x leverage, this is already netting a 30% profit. And I really don't want you guys to be sleeping on these kind of 30% gains, because we've already covered the math right here. If you're able to kind of trade with a $1,000 account balance and you pull off a 30% gain, let's say just 3 times in a row, you have already doubled your money regardless of how much you're actually trading with. It is absolutely crazy. I mean, if you were to do this 4 times in a row, you're now up by nearly 3x, and you're only pulling 30% profits, right? So we've already seen many examples of kind of 10% swings, and with a bit of leverage kind of backing them, this can get very crazy very quickly. I mean, here's another huge bullish engulfing candle which resulted in a gargantuan uptrend for Bitcoin right here. Again, from this candle close all the way up to the real high that Bitcoin set, it was a 49% move. Absolutely huge price action here, I think, really strongly indicating just how powerful this particular pattern can be, and obviously it didn't even stop there. It went significantly higher until we got that big rejection wick here. So, these candles are showing us so much information that we can actually trade off, and it's the first most fundamental thing to be looking at. Like I said at the beginning of this video, so many people have no idea what they're doing. They've never actually learned these basics properly, and they've gone straight to more advanced things because they think that they're cool if they do it, and they think that, they're going to have an edge on everybody else if they do it. But the reality is that they don't have an edge. They don't have anything interesting going for them whatsoever. They just have a recipe for people like myself and now you to take money from them because they can't read the most basic thing on the chart which produces everything else that you see. I think that these candles are so informative, telling you the absolute high that they traded at, the absolute low, and where they opened and closed, because it really gives you a strong read of momentum and aggression. And you can see very, very clearly that if you eclipse previous candles, in this case we eclipsed like 3-4 candles, that is telling you, look, I don't care what happened over the last few weeks. We are different now. And look at how much time you have to prepare for the move that's coming based off these candles as well. I mean, super, super significant stuff here. Really, really very important in this market. And that's why I wanted to cover it with you. Sometimes we get smaller engulfing candles here, but we do still kind of see it manifesting in the form of a bit more upside here. And it just gives you a lot of time to get in on it. Sometimes it completely fails, like this bearish engulfing here, which did not result in more downside. So you've obviously got to be careful. Nothing at all is going to be foolproof, but you are going to generally see that this is actually a pretty darn good way to be doing analysis in this market. There's so many more kind of examples of this that you can pick off, and like I said, this all starts with just making sure that the kind of basics that you're being given on this chart are something that you're very confident with. So I would actually encourage you to just go ahead and pause the video now and just go back and look through the chart and see if you can find anything and kind of predict what might happen next. You've also got this nice big replay button on the top, and this is something that I really encourage you to play around with and get familiar with. You can replay the chart back to any point, and then you can mess around with it. You can play it back. You can change the speed that it plays back. And of course, if you wanted to, just below my face here, where my mouse is, you can go ahead and close replay mode as well and just come back to the present day. So I think that is also very, very useful here. That is all I'm going to be covering in this first part of the candlestick video. It's already so intense, and these big rejection wicks really tell you a lot, for example, about where the market might be going in terms of direction. So I think they're so powerful, but I'm not going to be covering a whole lot more. Take a look at this. I'm tripping over myself. We have another bullish engulfing candle here. The first one down here kicks off the uptrend, and then the next one over here continues the uptrend, which is just absolutely amazing. Really cool stuff here. Again, just really showing us how useful these kind of things can be. I'm going to give you one more because I'm feeling nice, and it is the doji, which is a very classic kind of reversal candle that the market likes to produce. Here's something a little bit like a doji, where basically the candle is trade all the way up here and all the way down here, and it can't really decide. So it just goes right back into the middle. These are often pretty clear reversal candles where, for example, you've tested both sides. You don't really know what's going on. So the trend which, got us here, in this case, it was an uptrend which lasted about 3 weeks. The trend which got us here is going to reverse, and that's exactly what happens here. Super useful. I mean, you can apply this absolutely everywhere in the market. So very useful stuff indeed. Take a look at this doji that we printed right at the all-time high. It's not a perfect doji, but it's the same thing, right? I mean, something that you're going to see me talk about very often on this YouTube channel is that I am not particularly interested in looking at exacts or looking at, key obvious repetition. What I'm most interested in are characteristics of the market, and if I can see characteristics that I can kind of spot, identify, take advantage of, trade based off them, then that's good enough to me. I don't need exacts. I'm not in the business of that. I'm just looking to make money as easily as I can. I really like to keep it that simple, and that's what you get on this YouTube channel. So super cool stuff, and even better with the huge bonuses available to you all on Blowfin with the link down below. Like I said, this is a no KYC platform, which means that you don't have to submit a picture of yourself or your ID, and you are getting huge bonuses, 15% extra cash back on whatever you deposit up to 7.5K, which is capital that you can deploy back into the market and blow shit up with, and it's not even money that was yours to begin with, so you can do whatever you like with it, and there is no loss to you if you lose the money, but there is gain for you if you make money because you can withdraw the profits. So super cool, and while you're at it, potentially even a Tesla at your door as a reward for trading on this platform. So super cool stuff there. If you have enjoyed this video, you know exactly what to do. Hit up the likes, subscribe, tick the bell, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.